Thank you, Mayor. Patrice, thank you. The April 6th City Manager Report will focus on the city's response to COVID-19. Certainly, that has been the focus of our attention these past few weeks. Our priorities have been to communicate well, to keep employees and the public safe, to stay abreast of decisions being made by others that impact us, and to be prepared for an uncertain future. I've been keeping council informed of details through emails and my weekly memo, so I'll try not to be too repetitive in my comments this evening, but I will attempt to provide for the public sufficient background on how the city is handling this ever-evolving situation. And as council knows, we've activated our emergency management structure just as we would for other emergency situations. And that means that city employees who otherwise wear different hats now have different and additional responsibilities. Now, we've been through emergencies before, albeit not quite like this one. However, there is no doubt that those prior emergencies have helped us in our management of this one. Those emergency roles guide us in how we plan and how we communicate and how we manage our resources. Those roles also include how we communicate with the public, including the use of our community partners and networks, and how we keep each other safe, and how we liaison with other entities. And one of the roles impacted by our emergency status is that of the mayor once he makes the initial decision to declare a local disaster. The mayor, as well, has been through emergencies before, and we sincerely appreciate his leadership, his accessibility, and his particular communication skills. The whole country is attuned to the latest guidelines and orders that come from the federal level, and so are we. Closer to home is the county judge's order to extend the stay home, work safe order through the end of this month. We do appreciate the well-organized information being provided by Harris County, and we, like everyone else, are paying attention to the numbers as we try to anticipate what is in front of us these next few weeks. We've been providing frequent updates to city employees for a month now. Chief Tittle, again, very experienced by prior emergencies, has done a tremendous job in his incident command role. That's a role he and I share, and he and I have both made a priority of keeping the staff informed. And keeping employees safe means that we're able to equip them with proper gear, that they stay away from each other, and that their families are protecting themselves as well. Our email inboxes are full of solicitations to sell us equipment and personal protective equipment, and we have received many generous donations as well. This is being managed through our emergency management structures logistics team, and I'm happy to report that we are in good shape in that regard. We will, of course, continue to pay attention to our supply, and will continue to be appropriately sensitive to the fact that others are looking for the same supplies that we're using. The working from home experience has had its challenges, but overall we're doing a good job of keeping employees productive. We are still answering our phones, and we're still responding to messages. Next slide, please. I'll now be a bit more specific with what we're doing. Things are definitely not normal, but in terms of service delivery, we are striving for as much normal as possible, and the items described on this list haven't changed the past couple of weeks. Of course, our most critical and essential functions can't be performed at home. Chief Tittle and our medical director, Dr. Lars Thesserup, have been out in front of the pandemic with the establishment of protocols for screening 911 calls so that our responders know what they're getting into. Our medical director has been paying attention to CDC information and has been in touch with us on a daily basis, and in short, has been terrific. A message we consistently hear from the public, for obvious reasons, during emergency situations is how important it is that people see police officers out and about, that we're still responding to emergency calls, that we're still responding to public works calls, we're still treating the wastewater, and we're still picking up the trash. Our teams have done a great job of performing these tasks while following safety guidelines like social distancing. And I'm pleased with how other administrative functions are progressing with very few people at City Hall. We've developed new routines for ensuring that payments in the night drop are processed, that the mail is received and distributed, and the phones are answered. And I'll mention that this weekend, the trash bag delivery was accomplished, and again, using appropriate social distancing protocols. Next, thank you. So now I'll recap what services we stopped providing. We haven't been providing BeLife services since March 13th. We closed the rec center and stopped taking reservations on March 16th. We closed the pools on March 20th, and we closed down other city buildings on March 23rd. The orders established by the governor and the county judge treat infrastructure construction as an essential function. We're being thoughtful, however, about not starting construction activity that we potentially can't finish. We are hearing from existing and potential contractors of their concerns about being able to staff projects over the next several weeks, and with that in mind, we're not starting at any new waterline relocation sites. Our discussions with the contractor don't lead us to anticipate any concerns in this regard, and we've also decided to not pursue our pavement management contract award until May. We've been in touch with the chairs of our boards and commissions, and as of now, we don't plan any board or commission meetings during the month of April, and we'll evaluate and continue to discuss this with our board chairs over the next few weeks. And as I've indicated in a prior weekly memo, the citizen survey that was intended to be issued in March and is a follow-up to the survey done in 2016 has been put on hold. This next slide summarizes the planning we've been doing to prepare for outcomes we hope to avoid. So far, no city employee has tested positive. However, should the need arise, we've made arrangements with a hotel in the area to provide space for quarantined employees. We've also made plans to accommodate that outcome within our own facilities. We're also able to quickly transition to different shift schedules for both police and fire. Doing so would enable us to stretch existing and healthy staff a bit further. That's not a great outcome, but one we're prepared to implement if it becomes necessary. And should our situation be prolonged and fuel supplies be interrupted, we've made arrangements for the delivery of an on-site supply, much like we did during Hurricane Harvey. And again, this wouldn't be a great outcome, but as necessary, we can take alternate approaches to providing dispatch services. Chief Holloway has been speaking with our regional partners about how we might combine efforts as necessary, and we're able to perform these services remotely if the need arises. The Public Works team has developed a plan to stretch staff resources further by changing our solid waste schedule, which could include moving to once-per-week service. Again, that's not a great outcome, but we're trying to be prepared. Later, there's another item on the agenda that speaks to the potential of expenditure reductions. How this impacts our finances is of significant importance, but in the light of that other agenda item, I'll not be specific on our current thinking on this topic until later. What I will do, however, is discuss how things will be different the next few months, or at least how we think things will be different the next few months. We're still managing finances. We still need to prepare a fiscal forecast, and we'll still be working to put council in a position to make informed decisions about the budget as we go. That process, however, of meeting in early May in a workshop setting and discussing the assumptions behind the fiscal forecast will be altered. The mayor and I will continue to discuss this, but in short, what we'll need to do is communicate with council in writing about fiscal forecast scenarios and assumptions behind those scenarios. Yes, the pandemic will impact our thinking, and we will be in a position of providing you good information. What we probably won't do is spend much time on other elements of the strategic planning model, at least not until things settle down. For example, we've been discussing how and if we go through the update of the comprehensive plan. At this point, I would not recommend we pursue a comprehensive plan update. Speaking more positively, I'll share that I believe we have lots to look forward to. We will get through this, and we'll be stronger for it, especially with the relationships we have with people who are working through this side by side with us. We'll likely have come up with new and better ways of doing business. And I'm looking forward to pool season, and I'm looking forward to summer camp season and the 4th of July. The staff is working to be prepared for all of those outcomes, and hopefully that will be a reality. These preparations, by the way, are not adding to our expenditures. They do represent our commitment and our dedication to a seamless transition back to normal operations once it's safe and appropriate to do so. I'll fly through these next few slides. They are the traditional updates on what we have produced since our last council meeting on Notify Me and our social media platforms. Of course, the theme here is dominated by COVID-19 news. The slide in, oh, okay, I guess we did fly through those slides. Thank you, Patrice. And now, earlier today, we did issue our most recent version of the Boulevard online newsletter. We described today's telephonic meeting in that newsletter update. And that newsletter also included an article on how we're taking advantage of the downtime to install playground equipment provided by patrons for Bellaire Parks. The next slide. I think we mentioned earlier the videos we've been producing. These next two slides are a list of those. We've been receiving a lot of positive feedback on this communication approach, and thank you, Cheryl Bright, for coordinating this and people in the departments for working to put them together. And so our next council meeting, which will be telephonic as well, has a very light agenda at this point. At this point, the only thing we've got scheduled on this list are two proclamations. And council, that concludes my report, and I am happy to address any questions.